The Minnesota Timberwolves are just a different offense when Jaden McDaniels is playing well on that end, so it's no surprise that his rough start to the season coincided with Minnesota's woeful offensive stretch heading into 2025. In the 32 games before the new year, McDaniels averaged 9.6 points on 43% shooting from the field and 30% shooting from three. That was a huge contributor to Minnesota's 22nd ranked offense that scored just 110.6 points per 100 possessions during that stretch of games. Not only did he cramp up their spacing alongside Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle, but he wasn't adding anything outside of his wonky jumper either. But in 13 games since the turn of the year, McDaniels is up to 12.8 points a night, while upping that field goal percentage to 52.8% and the accuracy from long range to 39.2%. And that's a huge reason Minnesota are up to 8th in the league with a 118.1 offensive rating over that 13-game period. He's always going to be a menace defensively, and he's always going to be an up and down shooter, but these numbers have improved for both McDaniels and his team because Minnesota are using him in different and better ways on the offensive side of the ball, and he looks a completely revived player because of it. The single biggest change has been McDaniels foregoing the idea of becoming a knockdown shooter and instead choosing to be a downhill force playing off the catch. The way he's catching the ball here and already shifting his weight to slash to the cup is a complete change in mindset from what we've seen so far this season. I think for most low usage wings, you want a player who can comfortably knock down this open look, but McDaniels has proven that he's more impactful attacking closeouts using his long strides and funky footwork to find shots at the rim in the short mid-range and even extending out a little further. He's also a player who thrives on both ends from confidence, and it did seem to be weighing on his game as he missed 3 after 3 earlier in the season, so it just made sense for him to ditch the shooter label and become this 6'10" missile who's big enough to finish through the tall trees at the rim, finesse finish with his super soft touch, or make a simple passing read out of that. And it really does take the pressure off Anthony Edwards as a focal point offensive hub as well. Earlier in the season, when Randle's man was in the gaps here, and McDaniels' man was sitting low to shut off the rim, this was a dead-end possession. But when McDaniels catches on the move like this, you force even a defender like Derek White to contend with a slithering giant who can finish in his own weird kind of way. Again, when Ant comes off the ball screen and there's 2 on him here, and Kawhi Leonard is cheating off McDaniels to cover Gobert's role, they can break that defense loading up with McDaniels attacking on the catch and breaking out that bag around the rim rather than just hoisting a jumper or simply resetting the offense. And the numbers are really starting to back up how much this aggressive version of McDaniels is helping his fit alongside Minnesota's franchise centerpiece. Before December 31st, the pair had a bleak 109.3 offensive rating in their minutes together, but through January, that's up to an elite 120.3, and that 11 points per 100 possessions difference is indescribably huge for this team going forward. It's just super important that McDaniels seems to be an ever-present outlet on this team now, and not just for Anthony Edwards. When Mike Conley comes off these dual ball screens but can't finish at the rim over this rotating rim protector, McDaniels can turn that empty drive into a profitable one off the bounce. Or when Julius Randle gets into one of his herky-jerky isolations and things start to get a bit weird, he's there to recover the possession with his own unique style of downhill scoring. And even when the Wolves get into some slick screening actions and Rudy Gobert catches here, which we know is dangerous for him, he's got McDaniels there as a bailout, and instead of settling for a jumper, he's flying to the rim right away to increase the likelihood that they get a good attempt from good action. It's not the way of the modern NBA to turn down 3-point looks in favour of drives into the defense, but for McDaniels it certainly works better, and that means a lot for a Minnesota offense that needs a jump start on most nights. At such a low volume though, these catch and shoot possessions aren't enough to really make McDaniels an offensive driving force, but he's been bridging that gap even further by just being involved around the rim with his movement and his size all the time. Again, he's just really feeling like the Mr. Fix-It for this offense right now, and this is just another way that he's doing so. And there's a number of avenues to impact the game around the paint. It might be a quick backdoor dive behind the defense to get easy points on the cut, or if the defense is spending their energy shading over to show bodies to Anthony Edwards, he might just slip behind it for an easy dunk. Instead of hanging out behind the arc when Randall is driving, he's going to follow him into the coalface, bail out Randall, and find himself easy points at the same time. Or when the Wolves run this action to get Gobert going on the roll, instead of spacing back to the corner, he just hangs out in the dunker spot on the baseline where he's more impactful as a scorer. That turns a missed three from the corner where he struggles into a point-blank attempt. And following that same logic, when Gobert catches here and McDaniels' man is over-helping from the corner, he's going to cut baseline and get 2 easy points instead of staying spotted up in the corner like you so often see in today's NBA. Just like it works for him slashing off the catch and finding seams in the defense that way, it works just as well for McDaniels to be a cutting savant, an offensive rebounder, and someone who finds himself in the dunker spot or slicing into the paint off the ball. With his size, athleticism, and touch around the rim, he is a serious weapon there. And if he can continue being a pace pusher and a player who can get out in transition and find those easy buckets that Minnesota often struggle to come by, he's instantly an even more dangerous weapon. And that means that even when his 3-point shooting begins to cool off again, or he goes through one of those droughts we've seen him go through as a shooter, he's still going to drive Minnesota's offensive efficiency up. He's going to help rescue his high-usage teammates from those sticky situations, and he's just going to add value to this team offensively. With the way he already plays defense every night, all of a sudden that's a player who helps win games at the highest level. Thanks again for watching Howls and Growls. Please subscribe for more.